everyone, we are at Surfside Smile Co. Pediatric Dentistry and Orthodontics in Middletown, New Jersey with Dr. Kristianne Macaraeg. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are going to chat about your business, being a working mom in Monmouth County. Where are you from?
So I am initially from Virginia Beach. Grew up really close to the beach, so couldn't get away from it. So I'm glad to be. My husband is from Marlboro, so we decided to move back after living in Philly for 6 years, and decided to come back now that we have a little baby and some family home.
Your daughter is 15 months?
She's 15 months tomorrow, actually.
Oh, what's her name?
Her name is Noelle.
Oh, beautiful.
She was actually born in end of November of 2022, which I was due in December. So we actually couldn't figure out a name for a long time, but Noelle was a tribute to Christmas time, but also just like we really love the name. It has a lot of other meaning to it as well, but she came a little bit early.
Oh, beautiful. Love it. So what is life like? You just opened the practice when?
December 2023, so just a few months ago.
It's beautiful, as you can see. Tell us a little bit about what that's been like. You spent some time, you mentioned, in Philly, so this has been probably a whirlwind, right? We've chatted a little bit too for different partnership opportunities with Monmouth Moms. You've been like opening the practice and the baby and just a lot of change, right?
Yes, a lot of change in a very small amount of time. I have been an associate pediatric dentist for about 3 to 4 years before deciding to open up my own thing. Mm-hmm. And my husband's an orthodontist, so that made the transition and the decision a little bit easier as far as wanting to create something that we did ourselves and just having a little bit more meaning to our career and something a little bit more fulfilling. Very happy to be in it right now and have my own practice, and it's wonderful. It's a lot of work. I'm still working as an associate elsewhere as well, in addition to being an owner of a practice and making sure that I'm running this smoothly and trying to be successful. So yeah, it's a lot in a very short amount of time.
But it's incredible. You've done an incredible job. It's beautiful here. Tell us about your opening. What was that like? You know, having the baby and having your husband here, and what's it been like so far?
If things were to have planned out perfectly, with meaning, so a lot of different moving parts. My husband and I did IVF, so we kind of knew a little bit as far as like when we were going to have a baby, but also at some point also just didn't really know. A lot of this all happened at the same time. We were at a time when we were trying to have a baby for a couple years and also trying to figure out our life plan and career as well. Taking ownership in creating a practice and opening up a practice kind of filled that void of trying to have a baby. It all happened at the same time where we decided to move forward with IVF. We were fortunate and blessed that it was the first round of IVF that we were able to get pregnant and have our daughter. But yes, it all happened at the same time. So we signed our lease for the space in September of 2022. Mm-hmm. I was due December of 2022. But we had actually been planning all of the office stuff. It was probably a year before that. So it took several months to find a space by the time we fully signed the lease, and then opened December 2023. So it took a little over a year to get our doors open, construction, planning, permits, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
We actually had planned to open, if things worked out perfectly, our plan was to open in the spring of 2023, which now thinking that since we had the baby in fall of 2022, that the timing actually probably worked out a little bit better as far as having the time at home with my daughter and just getting used to being a first-time parent, because we know how that is, and It's new, it's exhausting, but it's also so much fun and the best time I've had trying to do all of that at the same time with creating a business, opening an office was certainly a lot. But I think having that delay of opening kind of gave me a little bit more time to take a step back and not drive myself too crazy.
Yeah. On the podcast, we talk a lot actually about that, especially when doctors come on, and sometimes they've had the practice for 20 years. But a common theme really is that, you know, they go to med school and there's not a lot of like business training, right? So there's like this whole other piece that you really have to like, you know, learn like as you go, and hopefully you have good mentors and people that you can ask like questions to. But that's, you know, a part of it that I think a lot of doctors that, so don't mention it in the beginning of their careers.
Yes. I could do the dentistry and all of that with my eyes closed. That is probably the easiest part of my day, because coming out of residency and going to private practice, you're going from the academic side to private practice, and it's like your eyes are just like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
But then once you get that under your belt, it's literally just like something you can do in your sleep. But now the business side of things is completely brand new.
Right.
But it's fun, it's exciting. I'm learning about myself, learning about a lot of things that I didn't know. But it definitely is fulfilling. A lot of networking is involved and meeting people, and honestly reaching out and finding out about other people who are going through the same thing. So it's wonderful in a way. It's exhausting as well, but it's nice to know that there's a community out there that people are doing the same thing that I am.
Yeah, so let's talk about community. Your husband's from Marlboro. You live where now?
We're in Wool Township.
Oh, beautiful. I have a family who lives there. What is your favorite part about being part of the community as new parents, but also as new business owners?
This area is really wonderful. It's growing. A lot of new parents out there, a lot of little kids, and it's really great just being in this area where there's just so many things to do.
Right.
And there's also just so many people. And again, like I'm not from this area, so it's nice to pretty much like throw myself out there,
right.
And meet a lot of other. It's really been great having my own business and meeting people that way.
Yeah. What's been the hardest part of being a working mom as a new and like the most challenging part so far?
I think we can all agree that being a first-time parent especially is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding, and I love my daughter and I love having family time. Finding enough hours in the day to do it all is what I struggle with the most, especially being a parent. My husband and I, our schedules were always very busy. We like to always stay busy, have things to do. When you go from such a go lifestyle, and then having a baby lets you kind of relax a little bit and enjoy those sweet, special moments of quiet and family time. It's hard to find enough time to be able to do a lot of things we did before.
Yeah.
And also now with raising a family. It definitely is challenging just trying to be able to figure out when I can do a lot of things with managing a practice and also trying to be a present mom.
Yeah.
It's difficult both ways, being a stay-at-home mom versus being a working mom. Each one has its own challenges. For me, I really enjoyed my time being at home on maternity leave, and it was really sad going back to work. It was so hard.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of really supportive friends who had been through it as well, and I got a lot of encouragement as far as like going back to work and what that's like. During maternity leave. Everyone handles it differently, and there's a lot of moms who struggle with postpartum depression. I was starting to get into that point of, oh my goodness, my life is so different now that I have a baby. Going back to work also helped just kind of find myself and figure out like what I want to do. I want to be a mom, but I also want to be a successful pediatric dentist. It is challenging being a working parent, but I think especially for my field, I should be a more compassionate provider and pediatric dentist. Although it is difficult to balance both, I feel like I've become a better practitioner. Just being a mom and being able to relate to now my parents and patients that come to see me. And in the past, just like again, coming out of residency, newly married, no kids, like who am I to be a pediatric dentist treating these kids that I feel like almost having a kid gives you some street credit almost.
Right.
But it makes you understand certain things that you coach and you tell parents and you educate them about oral health and just being a pediatric dentist and how you treat your patients. It's something that you can't learn, even though that it has been difficult to be a working parent and be a working mom and practice and be a pediatric dentist. I do feel like it has really just given me something more to work off of and become a better person.
Yeah, we actually had a OBGYN on the podcast as well, and she mentioned the same thing, that her approach changed a bit once she became a parent, because she didn't realize not just the labor itself, right? All the emotions that you go through, and just the day to day, like you said, the managing your children and your family. What is the most gratifying part of being a working parent?
The most gratifying part of being a working parent is just now that when I'm away, I go home and I really try to focus on spending that time with my daughter and having that family time and being more present. I try not to really just have my phone. I feel like I'm always on my phone, and I feel like that's just the nature of how we are today, especially with just like keeping up with emails and a lot of things that are always on our phone. Now, when I go home, I put that away, knowing that I don't have that much time with her.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more enjoyable.
And like you said, so much more, like you really get to like be present but also, you're pursuing your dreams and, you get I'm sure a lot of gratification from what you've worked so hard, right, to accomplish so far.
Yes.
And that's important to remember for women, I think, and moms especially, that you can do both, right?
Yes.
And that there's room and, there's not always a ton of time like in the day, but I think many moms struggle with like compartmentalizing like their days and like trying to be the most productive with your time. Like when, you see so many memes on Instagram and it's like, I have an hour. What the heck do I do? Do I lay here? Do I go get a shot of tequila? Do I, because you're always thinking of your family and it's not, a selfish thing to really, be aspiring towards your dreams and because that gives back to everyone involved.
About like my working time is between and midnight, and like that's definitely the time I'm the most productive. But it's true, like it's hard to do everything at the same time, but during the day, if I am home, I try to be present, and then when she's asleep, then that's when I start to put my owner hat on and try to be a businesswoman and try to accomplish a lot of things that way.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the services that you offer. It's unique that you're both pediatric dentist practice and also an orthodontist, which is so convenient. I love that.
So it's a newer model of having both the pediatric dentist and orthodontist in the same place, which just makes so much more sense just because a lot of times you're trying to do too many things and being convenient with having the pediatric dentist there and also the orthodontist in one place just makes it a lot easier. And I've always been working with my husband, even we went to the same dental school, same residency. So I'm used to working with my husband and I do really enjoy it. And he's not here every day, so I do miss that aspect of it. But it's nice that we can collaborate a lot easier. We talk a lot about cases together, which also just ends up providing probably even better care for our patients just because it's easier communication between two providers. But basically the goal of our practice, we really wanted to make it a place where people feel like they're at home, like our kids feel not intimidated to be at the dentist. So we wanted to make this theme fun, and we were like, let's do a surf theme because it can be fun for kids, but also for adults, since we see adults for orthodontics as well.
Right.
We wanted to make it feel like a home, so like a dental office. So it doesn't also smell like a dental office in here. Our model has always been being able to parents and patients and the care that they deserve. And especially with kids, you just never know what's going to set them off. So it's relationships with the kids and the family.
It's so inviting in here too, and it's bright, and it goes a long way. Each child is different. I had one child who it was tough getting him to come, because he just didn't like it. And then another who, like most kids are, obviously at first. So, but it's inviting and welcoming. That shows that you really care about your patients and want them to come back.
Being a better provider with being a first-time parent, so we love seeing our first-time parents with their 1-year-old kids, and those are probably my favorite appointments because I always have a ton of questions. What am I doing? Especially at that first visit, it's so important to set these kids up for great oral healthcare success. I love those appointments because I feel like I spend a lot of time with the parents really going over a lot of that stuff. It's a great time to bond with the parents, but also I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
A lot of information now. I love those appointments because I feel like we really get to spend time. Their first visit is that they've learned something and get a lot out of the visit.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time with my parents and patients because I don't want to rush people out the door.
Interesting. Where can everyone find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. We are at Surfside Smile Co. That's our Instagram. Very active on there. It's linked to our Facebook as well. Located in Middletown.
Right on Route 35. Very convenient for many Monmouth County families. I grew up in the area. It's a great area. I love the complex. It's very inviting and fun. So please come make an appointment. Check them out. Beautiful space, and we're excited to welcome you to Monmouth County.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for coming to visit.